You are listening to the Push Media Podcast Network.
This is good shit.
Yoo-hoo. Hey, sugar tits. You with the nose. Who's hearing the voice in your head? It's me, the voice in your head. Here to tell you that congratulations, you now have a voice in your head. I am not here to tell you what's right. I am not here to tell you what's wrong. I am simply here to be an omnipresent presence in your life. Nothing more, nothing less. You gotta go through life, your regular life, go to work, talk to Barbara, but now you know you got a voice in your head who every now and then might throw in his 2 cents. That would be my pitch if I was asked by Mucinex, how do we replace TJ Miller after he got in a little bit of hot water after calling in a fake bomb threat and choking a transsexual woman during intercourse. So if you're listening and you happen to work at Mucinex, which I'm sure is not even actually a real company, there's no way there's just a Mucinex company, Mucinex LLC, that makes Mucinex. It has to be owned by some parent company because it's an over-the-counter medicine. So that means probably in some states their primary product is like microwave chicken tenders. Probably owned by the Mormons on some level, but that's the only time I'm going to say the M word, I promise. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to hit the brakes on the Mormons because, boy, are they infuriating. And I'm also going to stop picking on TJ Miller. And I know that was a weird target for me to just open up with because I don't have a bone to pick with him, really, except for the fact that I did for some reason. And this is how poor my judgment can be sometimes as a human being. And I fancy myself, for better or worse, someone who can really discern what is correct in very sticky situations, financially speaking, legally speaking, sexually speaking, with your mom. To really know what to do, what to hit her buttons to make her feel all right. Because that's why I'm really here. But TJ Miller was... motherfuck. You know, when I first heard that he called in a bomb threat that was fake because he was drunk on an Amtrak train, I thought, life imitates art. Practical jokes can be funny. He's whatever. And I'm definitely, I should be very clear, I'm not condoning calling in bomb threats. That's not funny. You shouldn't do it. However, I'm not saying it can't not be funny. I know I'm wrong. But I'm saying it because I know you disagree. And I'm just trying to get engagement. I'm trying to make you feel something like I do your mom when I hit all her buttons. So just consider Colin's just here to make you feel. But to TJ Miller, if any of you were considering or haven't seen his HBO comedy special, the one that they released right after he left Silicon Valley and shit-talked everyone attached to the show. The entire comedy special, he comes out in a zoot suit and just dumps a water bottle on his face. I'm not making it up, so fuck him. Fuck him. I'm glad you're not going to be in Deadpool 3, and I'm glad you lost the Mucinex campaign, because I think that really creates a space for me to introduce my, Bernie Sanders-inspired Mucinex J.K. Rowling-esque, potentially anti-Semitic ball of mucus that lives in your chest. Who can resist a voice such as this? I'm not here to tell you Mucinex as an incorporation. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong, as I've stated earlier, previously in this episode. I am simply an omnipresent presence in your life. I am not here to make moral judgments. I'm telling you, what would you not love about that voice? For everyone who thought Bernie Sanders should have been elected, who thought he might have been shafted by the DNC 2 times, maybe I drum up a sense of nostalgia in you that makes you really want to buy a decongestant, which apparently isn't possible right now because knock, knock, hello, it's a Chinese laboratory, I'm mucus, I live in your chest, you all have lung problems for eternity now. I had to go to Rite Aid earlier because my mom was feeling sick. And I'm a doting son. And I'm also a piece of shit who still lives with her. So, you do that math. I've already expressed how I am not good at math. But anyway, I go to Rite Aid to get my mom some medicine because she's feeling ill. Not coronavirus, she got tested, that's great. Who's to say those tests mean anything anymore? The vaccines don't mean you're not going to get coronavirus. Wearing a mask doesn't mean you're not going to get coronavirus. Getting a booster doesn't mean you're not going to get coronavirus. For fuck's sake, being dead already doesn't mean you won't end up having your cause of death listed as coronavirus. I'm not saying what's right or wrong in that situation. I'm just saying what I feel, man. I ain't one of the Cosbys. I ain't go to Hill, man. Damn. I'm beginning to feel like I'm an acquired taste. But anyway, I go into Rite Aid, and I hit the decongestion shelf, which is a very difficult thing to say. Say that 5 times fast. And it's completely empty. And I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. Maybe I'm here the end of like a week or whatever before some, shipment of Mucinex gets dropped off weekly. Like maybe I just came at a bad time. And then I'm going to hit the cough drop, rack where they all hang. Where all the Ricola, where all the bags with Tulip Mania happening on the front, with all the little people with the little dick pipes and the little hats that are saying, you got a sore throat? Put one of these lozenges in your mouth. I don't even like the way lozenge is pronounced, let alone spelled, so I do not want one. I want medicine. If my throat's sore, I want something that has a lot of things I can't pronounce or question if they exist at all. Because they have a lot of X, Y's, and Z's in them. I don't want a motherfucking cherry gumdrop. Fuck you. But anyway, I didn't have to go through that back and forth in my head because, lo and behold, the entire cough drop shelf empty. And I'm talking completely empty. All of them empty. Every single flavor. Consider what I'm saying. Every single flavor of cough drop sold out. That includes the weird ones that look like you're quitting smoking, that are circular and just menthol. The ones that I guess just if you leave enough in your mouth will just make you turn into a cough drop. All of the weird, the salt and pepper, lemon pepper, wet ones, the ones that you look at, you're like, who in the good God fuck would ever get a cough drop such as this? They were sold out. And then it dawns on me, oh shit, that's right. There's a cataclysmic pandemic that is sweeping the globe really, truly, and tangibly more than the first time, I think. I think we could all admit. I think the first time when we all went into lockdown with COVID and whatnot 2 years ago, I think the first time when we did that, there was much more fear attached to it because there was much more novelty attached to the experience. Most people had never lived through the government saying, hey, there's a virus, we're not sure how many people it's going to kill, we're going to change your way of life. That's a groundbreaking thing to have said to you, so I kind of get how we all reacted and responded then. The motherfucking problem is, that was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. It was 2 goddamn years ago. It was 2 years ago. It was 1 year ago. 1 year ago, that's when it happened. 2 years. You can't expect people to continue to live under the fear and strict adherence to these guidelines of social distancing and masks and just genuinely giving a fuck and being conscious of decisions that you make daily and how they may or may not affect the spread of this virus that the government at one point told us could kill 10% of the population. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not scared of the virus. Really, in my heart, probably not in my heart, I guess that's the wrong expression. Who I want to be when talking and thinking about coronavirus, probably, to be honest with you, who I want to be is someone who thinks the vaccines were created with, like, the illuminous, firefly semen of Satan, and the virus itself was a biological weapon released from the Chinese government. Like, every part of this, believe me and truly understand me when I tell you, wants to be as tinfoil hattish, balls to the walls. The earth is not square, not round, not even flat, it's triangular. Like that level of conspiratorially stupid. That's how much I want to be that person and relate it to coronavirus, because I'm just fucking exhausted with it. I'm so tired of it. But that's not unique. I'm not the only one. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say, hey, I think this has dragged on too long. But I also have to acknowledge, at one point in time, our government said, hey, this might kill a lot of us. And it keeps mutating. And science hasn't changed. No matter how hard certain groups want to change certain parts of science to accurately propagate whatever bullshit they so think is correct this month, science is still science. Viruses still operate and mutate within the bounds of a set of rules that we can observe and have found to be applicable to all motherfucking viruses under the sun. And as such, we should act accordingly, no? Am I wrong? Because the first coronavirus shutdown, or 2 years ago, I'm talking like we're in the third Planet of the Apes movie, and like San Francisco has turned into, a fucking epicenter of just tents and groups of wild, vicious, borderline people huddled by trash cans, fighting monkeys. The irony of that statement is that's probably truly not that far off from what's happening right now in San Francisco. But anyway, when the coronavirus first was announced and everyone was, schools were shut down and Trump was saying, be cool, bitch, be cool, like Pulp Fiction, you didn't really, or at least just for me, you didn't really know anyone who had it. You had heard, maybe you had heard about someone you knew knowing someone, or you heard the awful story about like someone, like a coworker, their family member died. Like you'd hear something tragic like to that extent, which would, help, build up the fear, sustain it within you and make you take it seriously. Because, you remember there was a time when you couldn't go into grocery stores without rubber gloves, a face mask, a watchdog, and a blind walking cane. Now you go in, some people have a mask, some people don't, some people have a monocle. What year is it? Does it really matter? What's a year? How much of time have we just really made up, and the units of measurement we apply to our day-to-day life are just simply inaccurate? Fast forward to now, it seems like we're just like every other fucking issue. 50-50 on it. Some people are living like the virus is real. Some people are living like coronavirus. I hardly even knew her. I should have divorced my wife. So you got half the population pretending coronavirus is just not a thing, or it's not a thing anymore, which is probably a more popular belief than completely not believing it ever happened in the first place. However, it's still motherfucking happening. It's occurring. Viruses, unlike wishes, are not a matter of believing enough with a little hope and a little bit of magic. In fact, we know exactly what the fuck viruses are all about. Viruses and scientists used to fuck. They know each other. They know the ins and outs. They know all about one another. They know how each other move. We know viruses mutate. We understand they can either, once a vaccine is introduced, die out and simply not be strong enough, or they could mutate to become something that can not be affected by the vaccines we produce. And hear me out. Have you heard the narrative around the vaccines being that all of them were a tremendous sweeping success? I sure haven't. I've heard stories about the shampoo and conditioner company having their all-in-one vaccine getting taken back because some people were having blood clots. I've heard stories about AstraZeneca, which sounds like the title of a Jimmy Neutron episode, being a vaccine company that's just banned in a lot of countries because, hey, didn't nail that. I've heard stories about Pfizer saying, hey, we're Pfizer. You shouldn't listen to us. We're fucking Pfizer. I've heard Moderna be like, we might be owned by Pfizer. The point being, the vaccines haven't been a tremendous success. They've been a success, I'm assuming, They have to have been. Just because it feels like right, it has to have been. Again, I don't have the science. I don't have the numbers. If we didn't have the vaccines, maybe like what the government said was going to happen 2 Marches ago, motherfuck, maybe 15% of us are dead now. Or maybe these vaccines have been sugar pills. I don't know. I don't know one way or the other. But I'll tell you who the fuck I'm going to listen to. Scientists, people who know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm not going to listen to my gut on this one. That's a very important life lesson. You should, while you should always listen to your gut, you should trust your gut. You should trust your instincts. Your instincts are probably, honestly, the word instinct is not the right word for them. It's probably something much, much more intangible than that, but also more known and established. The point is, trust your gut. However, more importantly, know not when to trust your gut, you bozo. Know that maybe, hey, if I work for UPS, if I work for the Brown Post Office, maybe I don't know about mRNA vaccines. Just a thought. But you also shouldn't lose your motherfucking mind when it comes to coronavirus. This isn't the bubonic plague. This is not a thing where people are turning into zombies. This is not yellow fever. This is not even 1793, or is it? Dun dun dun. When you're driving and you see people in their own car by themselves with a mask on? Those people, the people taking it that far. When you see someone in their car by themselves driving with a mask on, I think what you do is you throw rocks at that car. You heard me. You throw rocks at that car. You start driving around with rocks in your car just in case. In case you see a motherfucker driving with a mask on and there ain't nobody in that car, you throw a motherfucking rock at that car. I'm really threading the needle. So you don't go that far with it. But people are still going crazy that way also. People in power, obviously, for obvious reasons. But then just the average folk, you and me, common man, not that common. Well, I guess the next story I'm about to tell you, not the common man, because it is somebody from Texas. Which, if you listened to the show a few episodes ago, I explained is a place that should not exist, but does, and is populated by people that think it is still okay in 2022 to wear cowboy hats, the ones that you would see in movies. From the Old West, from the days when sheriffs walked into saloons with 2 doors that opened in the middle. Because there was a woman in Houston, a fine lady, a mother. But this mother was, taking coronavirus a little too seriously, which, according to some people, can't happen. It's not possible. You can't take this seriously enough. Because this woman was charged with, what some, I guess, would say is a crime, perhaps. Some would argue was her just being overly, cautious. But the long and short of it, partner, is she was waiting in line at one of those, immigrant triages to get a coronavirus test, where she's in her car waiting to pull up to the tent. And somehow, probably because of kicking and screaming, officials at the testing site realized that there was a small child locked in her trunk. Now, turns out it was her kid. You can do whatever you want with your kid, right? This is still America. That's never an argument you ever want to make out loud. Ha! Woo! It's my kid. It's my lawn. It's my kid. Maybe you do. Maybe you do want to make it out loud. If it's very, very clear you are mocking someone you're not in a place you don't like. So this mom, literally, after being arrested, because the authorities were called, obviously, because, woman driving around with a kid in her trunk, but at least she was making sure whether or not she could, socially attend an event. Turns out the kid was actually hers. And her excuse for putting her son in the trunk was because she had just left, not kidding, not making this up, she had just left a different coronavirus testing site where her son had tested positive. And in order to best and most safely prevent the spread of yellow fever, 1793, zombie outbreak, apocalypse, Will Smith, I Am Legend, George Romero, Dawn of the Dead, rabies, locked her son in the trunk. In Texas. It's fucking hot in Texas. But at least the virus can't spread. What the fuck is her research on that? Does she know it's not airborne? What else is in the trunk? Maybe she just went grocery shopping. Why the fuck are you putting your kid in the trunk? How often have you done this? How much have you just been waiting? Your entire life, the entire life of your son, your 13-year-old son, that little piece of Texas shit. How long have you been waiting for coronavirus to happen so you could justify putting your son in the trunk? You must have thought, boy, is this an opportunity. Now I finally and legally, without marrying someone in the mob, have a tangible and medical reason enforced by the FDA and the president whenever he's reading the teleprompter correctly to safely isolate my children in a hot trunk in Houston, Texas. Remember the Alamo, motherfuckers. So don't take, do not take coronavirus that seriously either. Dial it back a little tiny bit. You don't want to be completely bananas with it. But here we are 2 years later, and it's worse. It's getting worse. We nearly cleared 1 million cases in one day. In fact, I'm sure we probably did. I went to Rite Aid, and there wasn't medicine on the shelves. And only after a moment of introspection did it occur to me, oh, wait, there is a pandemic happening. Everyone's sick. Businesses are not operating in the way they used to because so many people are ill. Of course, medicine's not around. How much more proof if you're part of the 50% of people who believe that coronavirus, I never even met her? Those dumb fucks, those Fast and the Furious Fox News slur for gay people, or beep that, I don't know. Those Fast and the Furious Fox News. You know what's funny? I just beeped that there and I never even actually said the word. This is just weird reverse psychology. Point is, to the people that don't think coronavirus is real at all, go to CVS, go to Rite Aid. There isn't medicine on the shelf. But at the same time, everyone just seems kind of over it. I can't schedule a test. Fuck it, I'll go on vacation. I got a cough, but I don't want to burn sick time. What the fuck does that mean? Do you want the business to potentially shut down because you could enforce the spread of a virus that, according to our government, could kill 15% of the population? Or you want to hang on to your sick time? What the fuck is sick time? Explain to me if I was an alien. If I was an illegal alien from Bermuda. Bet you didn't see that one coming. I could have said Mars or Venus. Nope, Bermuda. Explain to me what sick time is. So if you have a job, they give you a certain amount of time off because it's the benefits of working there. Okay. Some of this time off is sick time. They give you scheduled sick time. Yeah, well, you have to use it when you're sick, though. But if it's scheduled, can't you just use the time whenever you want? Well, no, you do need to be sick. Well, how can they schedule when you'll be sick? How do you know you're going to be sick like clockwork? What's a clock? What's time? Fuck. Some concepts are too big to break down when on smaller, more passionate rants. Focusing. Take this seriously because shelves are empty. This time toilet paper's around, but medicine related to illnesses where scientists are still researching and realizing the long-lasting impacts of your lungs being congested or flooded with fluid, your sinuses forever being infected or irritated, your vision blurry, your heart palpitated, whatever that means. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what coronavirus is going to do because we don't know what coronavirus is. We're going to keep making vaccines and the virus will either, give up, bend over, and present its bare buttocks in submission, or it will continue to be a virus, continue to want to live because that's what things that are alive and move and do and think and exist want, and then mutate and continue. And then kill some people. And then we'll keep making the vaccine. And so on and so forth. Kind of like how we have been fighting viruses and diseases and bacteria since we knew we should probably get on that. But as the ongoing, feud between man and the environment in which we live, as many poets have motherfucking documented, MF, will go on until there is no Earth. So humans will be fighting diseases and plagues and other things and sicknesses and illnesses that are literally designed to stop human life, okay? However, during the course of this everlasting battle, there will be periods where we as humans, if we want to keep some of the humans around that we really give a shit about, we got to take it a little bit more seriously. There are going to be times where we got to, actually listen and follow the rules a little more than we would some other times. We are coming out of a period where we had a long stretch of we didn't really have to give a fuck about viruses or shit that all that much. We're not Vietnam. We didn't have to deal with Agent Orange. Some kids here had shingles. The Breakfast Club came out. Some parents have a really big scar from a weird circular shot on their arm. We all made it through. And then we were great. And then the credit card bubble and Friends and Clinton, Bush, 9/11, now we're here. But now we're back to having to take this a little, the fuck would that even potentially mean? We're back at a time where we have to take the threat of viruses and environmental hazards a little bit more seriously. And we're not. In fact, we're poo-pooing it. We're saying we're tired. We're over it. We're done. We did take it seriously. We all made it through. I can't do it anymore. I want to go back to my life. Sure, valid. In fact, only more people than ever before are ill now, and there's no medicine on shelves. It is very real. And it approaches a level of surreal that, if you think about it, can make the ground you stand on a little shaky when something so visibly observable, like there's a pandemic, Rite Aid doesn't have medicine. There's a pandemic, pharmacy is out of supply. Something that visibly correlated can still be blatantly denied by the very people sick with the shit in a hospital bed from it, saying it's just a flu. MAGA, build back better. Let's go, Brandon. That was two right jokes and one I'm trying to make sure I balance it all out as the point, because unlike everyone else, unlike every fucking body else, I am not interested in presenting discourse disguised as stupidity with a malaise of mediocrity from leadership that is generally inept. I simply don't want the worst to happen. But the worst will happen if everyone continues to behave in the worst of ways. And everyone will continue to behave in the worst of ways because there is no one saying, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Instead, there's people like Kamala Harris saying, I think there is a malaise of people malaising while they malaise. And then there's Joe Biden saying, man, I'm the president. Sniff, sniff. Those are the people we have in power. And I'm not saying, hey, let's bring back Trump, because he didn't have much to offer either. And I'm not going to offer a third impression on some Robin Williams frantic energy shit. I know it's easy to be on a soapbox when you present literally no solution. I have no idea who would be better suited to guide us, to just be a better leader, to help us at a time when maybe the entire population is a little bit of danger and we don't know it or we refuse to accept it. But then again, pretty much all of my life, if you're close to my age, you're 30 to, let's say, 17 or 18, every moment since you've been alive, there hasn't really been more than, let's say, 4 or 5 years where there wasn't complete and utter global economic uncertainty and general anxiety amongst the average person. I mean, let me run it through you. I'm in kindergarten, 9/11, that's fine. All of a sudden, Obama gets into office. That's, I'm finally in middle school. Housing market collapses. All of a sudden, I'm in college. Donald Trump's elected. That's fucking bananas. get out of college, Chinese virus. I just said that. Ha 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 ha. Coyle. That's Happy Halloween in Mandarin. Only thing I know how to say. Fast forward to now, Joe Biden's president, Kamala Harris is the vice president, the lady who literally was like the sheriff of three strikes, and the current president, there's a missing diary in which he sniffed too much on his niece. So there really hasn't been more than a couple years where I've thought, wow, everything does seem normal. So all I'm looking for is a little bit of normal. And I can promise you what's normal is a little bit boring. If you're entertained, if you're having fun, if you're riled up, if you can easily find someone to argue the opposite with, if you're always ready to offer your opinion and you're engaged and you're entertained, probably there is not a clear leadership plan in place. Leadership's a little bit boring because it works. And when things work, a consequence of things working is you can stop appreciating it, and in turn, it starts to just come off as boring. But uneventful is not that bad, folks. Because an event can be defined as something like a cataclysmic pandemic. An event can be defined as something like when someone pushes all the right buttons on your mom just like me and she make that noise where she go, ooh. An event. Webster's dictionary defines an event. Yeah, those are really the only two definitions of an event. The larger point here for me to make to you would be to hoard medicine, Mucinex. I'm telling you, I'm your guy. 1,000,000 cases a day reported in the United States. I don't know. Shit. Yoo-hoo. You really think Mucinex guy would let it end on such a bad note? Everything's gonna be all right. It wasn't China. Go out and buy some shit. Mucinex for president.